Hello and welcome back to another video. In a recent video, I bought a few items off Temu and I did a quick little review, and one of the things that I found really awesome, or the best product that I probably got from them, was this 4x close-up filter. And what it is, you just screw it on the end of your lens and it turns your lens basically into a macro lens. Now, I also have these macro tubes. You just stack them up, you put them behind your lens. These weren't from Temu, these are from Amazon. It's a brand called Mica, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And yeah, I just want to see which one yields the better results. Now, keep in mind, it depends what lens you're using. That's obviously going to change the result, and it depends what macro tubes you have. I've got two of these stacked up. I found they gave me the best results. And these are a 16mm and a 10mm, so 26mm stacked up in total, and that will move my lens 26mm away from the sensor. And this one here is just meant to be a 4x. Now, this is much easier to just screw on the front of the lens. These ones, you have to attach your lens and then put this on the camera. Both pretty easy to install, but what I'm going to do in this video is take a couple of photos with this, and maybe with just the lens on its own, and we'll just see which one gets closer and which one yields the better results. Now, if I was doing macro photography properly, I'd actually probably have a flash on my camera, and the reason being is because the depth of field is very, very shallow when you're using any kind of macro adapters or filters or any macro lens in general. So you really have to close your aperture down a little bit or do focus stacking. Now, I'm just going to close my aperture down quite a bit and just up the ISO for this video. And the lens I'm using is the Tamron 28 to 75mm. Out of the three lenses that I have, I found this yields the best results when using both of these. So yeah, the other one's like a telephoto lens, the other one's a wide angle. So this one's right in between, it's 28 to 75. And I believe usually when I use it with the macro tubes, I zoom it all the way out to 75mm, but we'll see how I go with that. And yeah, so let's take a few photos and see which one yields the better results. All right, so definitely nothing fancy here in terms of what I'm taking a photo of. I'm just gonna try and get this flower here. Don't know if you can see that. And what I'll do, I'm gonna start with the normal lens. So there's no adapters on this, there's no filters. It's just the bare Tamron to 28 to 75. And what I'm gonna do, I might set my focus to manual and set it to the closest focal point possible and just see how close we can get with the lens as it is. And then we'll do the same with the filters or adapters. So, all right, so the current settings I have dialed in are 1/80th of a second on the shutter speed, f16, so I've closed the aperture down to get as much in focus as possible. I could go to f22, but this lens loses a lot of sharpness and things like that. Even at f16, it's not the best, but we'll get as much in focus as possible. f16 should be okay, and I'm at ISO 250. So I've set the focal point to the closest possible, and let's see what we can get. All right, so that's about as close as I could get with the standard lens. Now maybe we'll go with the 4x filter first and see how close we can get with that attached. All right, so just gonna screw the 4x filter on here. Nice and easy, just like any other filter. And again, I'm on manual focus and I've just set the focal point to the closest to the camera or lens as possible, and we'll see how close we can get now. All right, so that image there is as close as I can get with the 4x filter. I've actually zoomed the lens all the way out to 75mm. I found I got the best results with that as well. Definitely seems like it's closer than just the lens on its own, but I don't think it's going to be as close as the macro tubes, but let's see what we can do. All right, so I now have the macro tubes stacked up. As I said earlier, it's the 10mm and the 16, so 26mm in total. And we'll just see what results I get. Whether I have to zoom in or not, we'll see what gives me the better result. All right, so I actually must have forgotten how close up this stacked tubes actually get you, because when I did the review on the 4x filter, or the Temu video, I really did think that the 4x filter may have been getting closer than the macro tubes, but obviously we've just done those 3 in a row. So the first one was the camera with just the lens as it is, nothing on it. The second one was using the 4x filter from Temu. I'm sure any 4x filter is going to be quite similar. And the third photo was using the stacked macro tubes. I definitely got a lot closer with the macro tubes, like a lot closer. But obviously the depth of field gets shallower and shallower the closer you get. So that's when you have to start really stopping down your lens or doing focus stacking or something like that. And then if it's starting to get a bit dark, then you need to introduce some light, which is why, like I said, when I do macro photography normally, I usually have a flash on the camera so I can shoot with really closed down apertures. But yeah, anyway, I thought this video would be interesting to make. Hope it helped some of you. Someone in my last video actually asked me to do this because in the Temu video I did say that the 4X filter might be better than the stacked macro tubes, but it's definitely not. It does a great job. It's nice and easy to put on and it's really easy to work with, but the macro tubes definitely get you that little bit closer. Now, in saying all that, it does depend on what lens you're using and what macro tubes you get and how many you stack and all sorts of things like that. But all in all, I'll probably keep using the macro tubes for really close-up stuff, but the 4X filter is a nice one just to keep in the bag if you're out and about and you see something you want to shoot a little bit closer. So yeah, I highly recommend both methods, but the best way is just to buy an actual macro lens if you're going to start shooting a little bit of macro. And the light's starting to look weird, so I'm going to go, but I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.